So good evening everyone, great to be here. I'm Casey, I'm the founder and CEO of a company called AgriSound. And AgriSound, as the name suggests, specialise in smart listening technologies. And what we're doing is using bioacoustics as a technology to understand pollination and pollinator activity. And I'll talk to you a little bit about why that's important. But what we're trying to do at AgriSound, based here in York, is build the world's leading pollination agronomy company. And what that means is we use data to provide insights and information, but really focused on helping farmers and landowners to optimize pollinator activity in their fields. So bees, I'm sure we all know, even if you're not from the industry, that they're important. 1 in 3 mouthfuls of food are dependent on pollinators, and around sort of 2/3 of all of the food types we eat are dependent on some way, some pollinators. So they're really important, but they're having a tough time. We know that there's increased pest and disease pressure. We've got climate change affecting them. We've got reduced availability of forage and habitat for them to live in. So bees are really struggling at the moment. And what's really crazy, or what we thought was really crazy, was that something which has such an important impact on global food production is really poorly monitored. So what you have at the moment, or before AgriSound was in existence, was people like this walking around with a clipboard and a pen and paper, counting the number of pollinators and the number of bees that they see in an area. And this is totally unscalable for the extent of which this service is required. So not only is this tremendously boring, you've now got this, it's become really expensive because no one wants to do it. It's super subjective as well. And what we wanted to do was look to see, can we use technologies and this kind of advent of cheap microphones in particular through the smartphone era to see if we could disrupt this space. So what we've done is we've developed a product which I'll show you in a moment, and a service around that which we call Precision Pollination. And so what we're doing is bringing real-time data to farmers and growers and landowners so they can see pollinator activity in real time. And again, the image on the right-hand side just shows you where you've got strong pollination, hence the bigger blobs versus weak pollination. And then with this information, what we can start to do is drive interventions into those areas that really need it. So we can add beehives, we can take beehives away. One of the big problems we see is that colonies have died, so we need to then replace those. We can adjust the conditions that those bees are in. So if it's super hot like we're seeing at the moment, can we move those hives into areas of shade? Can we add more water? Do we need to supplement those with additional feed and forage availability? And longer term, what we really want to do is try and encourage farmers to move away from using managed pollinators, so bringing more bees into an area and relying on native pollinators. So we're always looking at how can we bring in wildflowers and nature to really create the habitat and the food sources that are required to get those bees into the area. And obviously that gives a nice commercial advantage as well as doing the right thing. So just a little bit beyond that, and this is obviously a wordy slide, so don't worry too much about what it says, but the other area which we're finding increased traction is from those bigger food brands who really want to demonstrate that they're doing their bit to improve nature as well. And again, I won't talk about it today because we won't have enough time, but bees are a really important, what we call bioindicator. So if the pollinator levels change, we know that that's usually in response to either increased chemical usage, so there's perhaps more pollution or pesticides being used in an area. It can be indicative of climate change. So we're seeing pollinator levels collapse rapidly at the moment. Bees don't like it really above 25 degrees. And we've got prolonged periods of above 25 degrees. So we can use this information as ways to understand, are we managing these ecosystems in the right way? So we're doing lots of work with brands, and we can talk about that offline if of interest. But this is what the product looks like. We lovingly call it a poor man's Amazon Alexa. It doesn't listen to that cube, it does listen to a wing beat frequency, which is much less interesting. But what does that actually mean? What are we doing in real terms? Well, we're actually not only are we able to deliver yield benefits, we're able to reduce waste. So every berry, every strawberry needs to be pollinated multiple times to meet the retailer specification. Almost half of those get put in a bin, so we're reducing that, and there's a very big carbon footprint associated with that as well. But we're also helping farmers to reduce the mortality of the bees that they're using. We're improving the fruit quality, so we see sweetness of fruits, we've got better pollination goes up. We see micronutrient content, so not only is it better for us, it lasts longer on the shelf as well. And these are a whole series of improvements to those, both farmers and to us and to the people in the supply chain, all through optimizing an input as simple as pollination. I won't subject to the video that M&S produced on why this is super exciting, but needless to say, it was very well received by their consumers. But ultimately, it's just helping us get more bees in the right place at the right time, and obviously that's good news for everyone. So that's us. Very happy to answer any questions. Very happy to talk to you about how the product works in more detail as well. But in the interest of time, hopefully that's been a good introduction. Thank you.